Welcome to the Tales podcast, where we discuss macabre and weird history, mythological legends, supernatural lore, and occasionally review movie and video games. I'm your host, Kraken. First, let me just express my gratitude. Thank you for being here at this ungodly hour of night to listen to this podcast. Unfortunately, for this episode, I am using an automated voice because my seasonal allergies have rendered me unable to speak clearly. But I still wanted to put out this episode for my wonderful subscribers, and I do sincerely hope you enjoy it. In this episode, we're taking a bite out of the blood-soaked history of Vlad the Impaler, the real-life inspiration for the iconic vampire Count Dracula. Vlad III, also known as Vlad the Impaler, was a prince of Wallachia, a region in modern-day Romania, in the mid-15th century. He was born in 1431 in the town of Sighisoara, and his life was characterized by a series of brutal conflicts and violent acts that earned him a place in the annals of history as one of the most fearsome rulers of his time. Vlad was notorious for his cruelty, and his preferred method of execution, impalement, is where he earned his nickname. Impalement involved driving a giant stake through a person's body and letting them slowly bleed to death over several hours or days. It was an excruciatingly painful and drawn-out form of torture, and Vlad is said to have impaled tens of thousands of people during his reign. But why was Vlad so ruthless? Well, the answer lies in the complex political landscape of the time. Wallachia was caught in a power struggle between the Ottoman Empire to the south and the Kingdom of Hungary to the west. Vlad was a skilled military strategist, and he saw impalement as a way to strike fear into his enemies and deter them from attacking his territory. Despite his brutal methods, Vlad was also known for his fierce devotion to his people. He would often dress up as a commoner and walk the streets of his city to see how his people were living. He was also famous for his strict code of laws, which he enforced ruthlessly. One law that he introduced was that if a merchant cheated his customers, he would be impaled alongside his goods. But it's not just the sheer number of people he killed that's shocking, it's the creativity he put into it. According to some reports, he would line the streets with impaled bodies as a warning to his enemies. He even had a forest of impaled victims that he called his Forest of the Impaled, which was meant to intimidate the Ottomans. It's no wonder that his enemies were terrified of him. Now, he must have had some serious anger issues. But here's a little-known fact, Vlad the Impaler wasn't the only one in his family with a reputation for violence. His father was also known for his brutality and was even assassinated by political rivals. It seems that violence ran in the family. And speaking of family, there's also the matter of Vlad's brother Radu. Radu was captured by the Ottoman Turks and spent several years in their court, where he was trained as a soldier and became close friends with the future Sultan Mehmed II. When Radu returned to Wallachia, he became a political rival of Vlad's and eventually led a rebellion against him. It's a classic case of sibling rivalry taken to the extreme. But Vlad's reign came to an end in 1462 when he was captured by the Hungarian army and imprisoned. He was released in 1475 and briefly regained his throne, but was killed in battle the following year. Despite a short reign, his legacy lived on, and his reputation as a ruthless and bloodthirsty ruler only grew with time. It's no wonder that Bram Stoker chose him as the inspiration for his iconic vampire character, Count Dracula. But what about the supernatural elements? Did Vlad have anything to do with vampires in real life? Well, there's no evidence to suggest that he had any connection to the undead. However, his gruesome reputation and the legends that sprang up around him undoubtedly contributed to the vampire mythology that we know and love today. And there you have it, the bloody history of Vlad the Impaler. From impalement to sibling rivalries to a forest of the impaled, his story is certainly not for the faint of heart. But whether you're a history buff, a vampire enthusiast, or just looking for a good scare, Vlad's story is one that will stick with you long after the episode ends. Thanks for joining me at this hour and listening to the Krakentales podcast. Feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at thekrakentales. You can also contact us by email at thekrakentales@gmail.com. Join us next time for another thrilling episode.